Hello, and welcome to the Bitcoin.Review podcast. This is an ad-free pod. Thank you so much for streaming those sats. Hello, and welcome back to the list episode. I think we're episode 16. We have an awesome all-star here panel to help me read the news. And I guess I'll start with a little housekeeping here. There is a Breez integration for SATSCARD bounty, and I think it's 5 million sats. And the folks at Breez are managing it. So if you're interested in making a few sats, go check that out. Now, on to the panel. I have with me today Mr. Livera.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Mr. Wiz.
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me on the show.
And all-star Michael Folkson.
Howdy.
Hey. So guys, we have quite a long list today here. I guess why don't we get right on to it? So Tor Browser version 12.0, Firefox extended support release, multi-locale support for desktop, native Apple Silicon support, HPS only by default on Android, prioritize .NET addresses for Android. Do you guys have any comments about that one?
Not really.
It's just nice to have, I think, is M2 support now.
What's the latest on Tor? Is it recovered from its DOS issues? I only use it on and off, but it had a lot of DOS attacks recently, didn't it?
I don't know. I am too cheap to use a VPN, so I just use Tor for almost everything, except when I'm doing video recordings. Yeah, I just have Tor set up as the proxy for pretty much everything. So it's nice. It's not too bad. It kind of goes on and off with the DDoSing.
It's pretty bad. Come on.
Yeah, but it works. I mean, it just takes longer.
Sometimes, if you're lucky.
It reminds me of trying to see adult pictures back in the BBS days where it loads pixel line by pixel line, Just takes a little longer.
It's a trade-off, right? You gain some privacy and some censorship resistance, but it's completely unreliable for anything important. And
that's true. I mean, yeah, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
BTC Pay Server 1.7.1 API for creating invoice refund, add metadata for invoice webhook. And then there is a 1.7.2. I won't get into the details. And then 1.7.3. Do you guys use BTC Pay Server?
Yeah, I do. I actually had a recent issue with but it was an issue on LunaNode's side. So they had a whole. So I think other people had the same kind of issue where their hosted BTC Pay kind of got wrecked or something and had to do some troubleshooting, get it back. But I know also recently, maybe prior episodes you might have spoken about it, but they are now trying to do the whole BIP21 unified QR thing. So this idea is it's one QR code that you scan. Of course, the trade-off with that is some older phones don't have a good enough camera to scan that. And yeah, but the idea is to have one QR. So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, I mean, that spec is, QR specs are kind of not great. QR technology is great. I think the encodings are sort of all over the place. And it's... I think it'll get better. I think, as people sort out how much error correction you need and maybe just optimize some of the data that goes into the QR, because QRs are so low bandwidth and animated QRs are absolutely unusable, completely unusable. So I think if we can just sort of optimize the static QRs, we might get somewhere.
Yeah.
Michael, you pay attention to core a little more than we do. Is there a BIP for QRs being worked on and proposed?
That's not core. That wouldn't be core. But I haven't seen a BIP for QR.
Yeah.
Let me check.
I think we need some bigger brains on this in a more sort of BIP style approach for QRs. I think it's time.
Christopher Allen's been working on that with one of his side projects.
That blockchain commons thing. But
yeah,
that's
maybe it was blockchain commons thing.
But that was one of many people working on this idea. So there's other people with kind of different ideas.
Yeah,
too.
but the blockchain commons spec for QR is atrocious.
Really? Okay.
It's a definitely no.
So is it one of those things where everyone just has different views
Yes.
on what it should be?
Yeah, pretty much, because most of the QRs just resolve to like URLs by the phone itself. So like it's not like you can get away with a lot of non-standardization, especially for static QRs. Now for the animated QRs is an absolute cluster. Who knows? Maybe another spec comes out. Maybe a BIP comes out. I have some hope for that.
I remember back in the day, there was not animated, but just colorful QR codes. So like each pixel was a different color.
RGB.
Right.
RGB. And man, in the RGB stuff, it's like, I can't remember, but the data rate is insane. So technically, I mean, you just hold your camera and you can shine a single pixel, right? Just, you make it bigger, but you can just RGB flash it and get it. But then you run into issues with other phones and like how they're reading the pixel colors, and it's more complexity too. But yeah. Same for NFC. We need, I think, a Bitcoin spec for it.
Well, it's bigger than Bitcoin, right? I mean, QR codes have been around long before Bitcoin, and it's just an encoding format that the whole world uses for all kinds of stuff. Like,
well, the problem is how you encode the more complex stuff. Like for example, how do you page for animated QRs, for example, right? That's what I'm saying. Like for static QRs, it kind of doesn't really matter too much. What you want though is the data that's going into the QR to be as compressed as possible, because then the QR has less complexity and is easier to read.
I don't know. I remember when we were optimizing the mempool space, like address page, there was a QR code, and we were kind of experimenting with the error correction rate. Like, if you have less error correction, then the pixels are larger.
Yes.
And so we would try and scan it, and then we would jack up the error correction rate and see if it made a difference. And like, we didn't see any difference at all between.
Yeah, if you're using a good camera and the QRs are on a decent screen on the other end, I mean, you can go with like zero error correction. It'll be totally fine. But URL sort of like is very low amount of data, right? That's why like Bitcoin addresses are also not that bad. A Lightning address starts to get like a little bit more interesting, right? Because it's a lot more data. And if you're doing a PSBT or something like that, now we're talking about like, 200 kilobytes, 500 kilobytes. Like it gets like really nasty very fast.
Well, how do the hardware wallets do it? Like there must be some air-gapped way of doing high bandwidth.
Yeah, there is. There is an animated QR spec. It's just like not good.
Okay.
It's hard. Like you're trying to shoehorn like data in a medium that was not designed to have a lot of data.
That's true. I think QR codes were invented by some Japanese company in like, the 90s?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I also love 2D barcodes. Surprisingly, like decent amount of data can go through it. It's just a lot of people don't use. But most phone camera libraries, and even the DSPs sometimes, like they actually do in hardware QR decoding. They can do barcodes, like 50 different barcode specs, but it's just, it's unknown by most devs, so like they don't integrate it.
And the problem is resolution when the QR code gets really big. Is that the problem?
Yeah, so like, on a phone screen, if you have like a brand new phone, it's like, I don't know, like just like 2,000 pixels wide on a new iPhone kind of thing, it's fine. But if you're trying to show a QR code in a low-res screen, that's also gets tricky, right? Because you're literally bounded by the amount of pixels that screen has on the output way. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that spec. A unified QR code is kind of cool. Yeah, that's actually like an interesting little segue. Like, I found myself, like, I pretty much deleted all Bitcoin wallets from my phone now, except for Nunchuck. All the Bitcoin wallets that I use on my phone now are Lightning wallets that have also base layer. It's like, it's not an ideal base layer solution because it costs more money because they're handling as like part of the channel and stuff. But like, anytime I need to pay something with the phone, it's like Lightning level of money, right? Like it's like $10, $50, $100 kind of thing. And the Lightning wallets are like really good. The UX is great too. Yeah, and I guess for everything else, just use Nunchuck on the phone. All right. Next up, Wasabi version 2.0.2.1. Cheaper privacy for whales. Automatically verify the signature of the software updater, prevent accidental coin join, double spend, faster onboarding experience. Now possible to coin join up to 4,300 Bitcoin. Coin selection improved for whales. Discrete mode, and a few more things. Do you guys use Wasabi?
No, I haven't used it.
No input chain analysis for you?
I don't regularly. I've tried it in the past. I'm a bit lax on the privacy. I don't do it. I don't use privacy by default. So yeah, I don't know. I just don't prioritize it as much as other people do.
Yeah, same here. I do use dry markets. I like dry market. But then it's just to nerd out. Like, it's not like,
I don't need to do coin joins because I don't own any Bitcoin. I lost it all.
There is that too.
If you don't own Bitcoin, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
And I earn it. Like, it comes through the shopping cart in the business, and I'm certain that like good half of my customers are all coin joining anyway. So like the coins already come joined. there is that too.
There is a danger though, isn't there? That, like, if all of us don't prioritize it, then it opens up Bitcoin to a big problem later on down the line. So I mean, you do want people working on it. You do want people using it. But I don't know. There's just so much stuff going on in the Bitcoin ecosystem. Like, privacy just kind of drops down my list of priorities a lot of the time. But that's not a good. It's not a good mindset.
The fear is, if very few people coin join, then it's very easy for a lot of the network to sort of like exclude joined mixed coins from like services and things. If like a good chunk of the network does that, then they can't really block it. So like it's kind of like that type of dynamic in my view. I think as the drama in CoinJoin sort of like diminishes a bit, and there is more implementations and like stuff like Joinster maybe takes off. I think and Lightning also has like great privacy. It's not perfect privacy, but it's a lot better than sending an on-chain transaction. So maybe that's why like a lot of people don't coin join. Maybe they just sort of like sending over Lightning and getting some privacy that way. Plus, channel splices are gonna like really improve privacy too on Lightning. So yeah, it's kind of all over, right?
And multiple channel opens, like that sort of thing. Exchanges opening multiple channels for their users in one transaction.
Yeah, and the channel splicing is cool.
There's a lot of promising things coming down the line when you integrate the privacy on that base layer with Lightning.
That's right.
I think at some point the coin joins will be, how do you say, prohibitively expensive for like average plebs, right? Like you'd have to be coin joining whole Bitcoins or something like this at some.
Yeah, I can see that because base layer transactions will get more expensive at some point.
Depends who you ask, right? That's a controversial topic.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's like, I think people like the controversy just because people are bored. It's a bear market.
Got to argue about something.
Yeah, I mean, when the price goes up, of course, chain use goes up. When the price goes down, chain use goes down. Like, it's not that complicated. Like,
it's also, there's like a scaling cycle, right? Like it's kind of, we could arguably say the reason, you can get Catan can get his 1 sat per byte through is because blockchain.info and because Binance did SegWit, and most of the exchanges now do batching. So, without that, maybe we would be in a sustained fee market or a block space market or whatever. So, yeah.
That's
I mean,
true.
the last high fee market was Coinbase's fault. I mean, like legit was.
I mean, there was all kinds of hilariously unoptimized stuff. You remember there was BitMEX o'clock every day at a certain time.
Yes.
You would just see like several
I think
full
it was 6
blocks.
a.m. in the morning EST. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. Now it's Binance. Binance will just dump stuff, right?
Coinbase had $6 million worth of BTC in small inputs that they couldn't move. It was going to cost them $10 million or something worth to move those inputs.
But then fees went back down, and I think they were able to get out of that, right?
Yes. Yeah, they cleaned up the house a bit after that. I mean, it is a crazy amount, right, of like volume, base layer volume that like exchanges do. Like, you know, when you think about the amount of deposits and withdrawals that happen in those things on base layer.
I think at that level, they could just negotiate directly with a miner or a mining pool and make some special transaction that fills up the entire block, right?
They probably do. I mean, you can, what's the maximum output per transaction? Like 1,000 outputs in a single transaction? I think I've done one with 1,000.
Well, there's the ones that you can relay across the P2P network, and then there's the ones that you can get the miner to manually add into the block. So there's consensus rules and there's policy, mempool policy, right? And
That's
P2P relay policy.
Yeah. Oh, we're not getting into mempool policy in this podcast.
Well, unless you want to turn this into a 10-hour podcast.
That's right. No, I mean, there really is no discussion. I mean, what's done, it's done, and that's it. Go use BSV if it doesn't work for you.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the full RBF.
I know, I'm just joking. That's why. Like, all right. Alby, version 1.21.0, Tor's Helmet. This version includes the new WebLN, WebBTC interface, make it easier than ever to build full Lightning web applications using LND and CLN APIs. And then there's other stuff there. And then there's the Alby Nostr stuff. It's really cool. I guess I'll bring it up. So I don't know. I was a total slipper on this. I feel like sort of like Lightning sort of came from the back and sort of like slapped me in the head because I was sort of like, Jesus Christ, this thing doesn't work. And then all of a sudden it's like fucking awesome.
That was such a funny thing to see because for so long you were like an on-chain boomer. You hated Lightning. Anyone who brought up Lightning, you were like, oh, no, that's whatever. Now
it felt like shitcoiners, you know, like it's like, use my thing, use my thing, use my thing. It's like, dude, it doesn't fucking work. And then like, you know,
and
all
now
of a
you're like the
sudden,
biggest
like,
Lightning bull out there.
That's right. I recorded a Lightning panel. That was actually pretty awesome with the guys from Phoenix, Breez, I think it was Kali, and also Ed Rindell. On the, I think it was the last episode.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a lot going on. Yeah, I mean, like Lightning is weird. It's like I feel like it's gonna like come and go in bursts as like that because it's so fucking complicated that like, you know, like they will sort of release a feature here and there, and then like they have to go back and like, you know, work out with like 50 different people, and half of them are woke, and sort of like, you know, like it's a lot of like tools not to trample, and like there's all the social dynamics, and they want to sort of make it interrupt, but it's hard. So it's a whole different sort of dynamic of development and features, and like then base layer is, right? Yeah. As I used to say, real men do it in the base layer.
Or Barack will just make another crazy transaction that blows up all the Lightning nodes.
That's great. I mean, you know, it's a system that was not sort of like in an extreme adversarial environment because there was just not a lot of like economic, like large economic activity in it. Now there is. Yeah. Go Barack, break it again.
And I suppose you're not in. I suppose there's no development on like Lightning support for a cold card until like people are sending big amounts from like end nodes on the network, right? Yeah. So I mean, you're not gonna have a cold cards hardware signer for a routing node anytime soon, if ever.
Yeah, so like we looked into it. So because we do have CK Bunker, right, which is the connected HSM for cold card. Like it's just like a Python library that you plug into the cold card into the USB, and like you have an HSM signer. But it gets tricky with Lightning because like you know, like you don't know which side has the liquidity of the channel. So like who is gonna close the channel? Like, you know, because the cold card is just like essentially like a dumb signer, right? Like it doesn't have policies, right? So for Lightning HSM, I think what you really want is like maybe less secure but more intelligent signer. So like a more like how traditional banking works. You get your Talus box, you know what I mean, with a secure enclave, and you throw your crappy software in there, and hopefully there is no holes. because the box does it a little bit better, sort of like securing you from yourself. You know, there is VLS, right? That I think was Block's project or Spyro's project for doing all the HSM policies. If anybody wants to go and make a cold card version firmware that essentially implements VLS, I mean, that could be fun. We won't for now.
Well, isn't it possible nowadays to do like a PSBT transaction signed by a cold card to open a channel and then have a pre-agreed closing script that sends the closing transaction back to cold storage?
People are doing that. We have,
I know Justin had that a while ago.
Yeah. People have been doing that. I think that's like cool for like mid-size businesses or sort of like, you know, independent people, but like I don't know how you do that like a bit more enterprisey. You know, if you're say Breez or Phoenix handling, you know, like 1 million channels, it gets weird very fast.
Yeah, I think the point that I take away, and as I understood as well from that other Lightning episode, was about if you wanted to do this hot Lightning signer device, then you end up having to build in more smart into the actual device so that it becomes more, you know, you're kind of rebuilding the Lightning state machine inside this hardware device. And then it's kind of like, well, what are you really saving anyway? But I mean, I still think there's probably work coming on it and something like that is going to come out, but it sounds kind of complicated.
Yeah. A lot of the security comes from the device being simple. And like that's the joy of embedded hardware too. It's like it's just a lot less software, right? Like a lot less crap. So like a lot less holes. So
yeah,
you know, as soon as you start building all that complexity, like you kind of end up being back at general purpose computers. I think at some point somebody's gonna get a very expensive Java card, you know, like a say like a part, like a $30-$50 part that has a lot of memory and it has a lot of like capacity. And then they're going to just, you know, stick VLS in it. And then you have like, you know, like essentially like a USB Java card signer. But enterprise doesn't like USB things. They prefer rack things. So, you know, then you just go your Thales, you pay your, you know, 20, 30 grand for a box and stick your software there and hopefully it doesn't break.
But you'd have an HSM integrated into that box. I'd like thinking longer term where the keys would be.
Yeah, exactly. So the way normally you initialize one of those boxes is like you have Java cards with like keys, and then you can key shuffle, you can key add, you can key whatever, right? Like some people do key shuffles and then burn the cards, and then what you do is you do key rotation, right? So like it's on a schedule. So like essentially the keys are only exist while they're hot on that box's memory, and then once it's like 90 days, the keys get like destroyed and a new key shuffle goes in. And so essentially nobody actually ever has the keys. There was an incredible paper written by Apple on how they do their key shuffle for like iCloud and stuff when I think around the time they launched their new version of their iCloud stuff. Some really fucking complicated key shuffling. So that you're not end up at like Samsung's problem where you leak your keys for app signing, and then anyone can sign a binary to put in your walled garden phone. So yeah, so back to Alby. Like, have you guys used this? I'm finding it really. I normally like super hater on extensions for browsers that handle money, but you know, for Lightning and for Nostr, I think like, you know, like that the threshold of like requires security is a little bit lower. So like it's super handy. They're doing like really cool work and they're sort of like listening to the users, and you can use like Zeus to sync up with that. So you have an app to control, send in and out the funds as well.
Yeah. I use Alby. I think it's cool. I haven't used Nostr with it. I have to be honest, I haven't used Nostr much really.
Shame on you.
But yeah, I mean, I made an account, but I was kind of like, there's no Android kind of support for it, and then like that you got to use like a browser thing, and then I was like, oh, what about the hygiene of my keys? Am I gonna like just type in my private key on this browser? Like it just
don't.
You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, exactly right. So it's that's why I just haven't really gone hard on Nostr yet.
So Alby is essentially like an HSM in the browser, right? So like essentially they can do better securing of the keys because an extension is not a website, right? And then there is a spec for Nostr that sort of like tells Alby the pub key and say, hey, can you sign this, right? And then Alby signs it. So it sounds each interaction, and you can whitelist, blacklist stuff. But it works for Lightning too, right? So you can have your LN URL thing there. And I was whining to, I believe it's Michael, the guy who started Alby, that I wanted to have my own domain as the Lightning address. And they launched now, so you can just host a little JSON file on your server, and then it does a proxy of LN URL. So you can have nvk@nvk.org as my Alby payment address. So I don't have to use @Alby.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And I know they have support for the other styles of payment addresses or Lightning addresses. So that's cool.
Well, I mean, until there is Bolt 12, the ominous.
yeah. I mean, Bolt 12, it's kind of like that's the competition in a way, Lightning address and Bolt 12. And I think what happened is like some of the guys got tired of waiting for things at protocol. So they were like, let's just go build it out at our level.
That's how it always works, man. Like the protocol software spec is always the worst like possible combination, right? Because remember, the more opinionated you are about your protocol, the less people are going to want to use it because they're going to have their own opinions, right? So you end up with that XKCD cartoon where like, we have 14 standards. We need a new standard to like,
and now we've got 15 standards. Yeah,
exactly. Right. Bitcoin is an absolute Frankenstein.
Yeah. It's not only that, like the design decisions, it's also like the timing of when it's ready. So like a lot of the like older guys will have been through this process so many times and we need to like let it bed in and check that it's fine for a year. And some of the like newer, younger guys will be like, no, let's get it out now. It's fine. So like the timing is a real struggle as well for these like standard type problems.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I won't get, maybe we can talk later on, but it's kind of like the Nostr thing, like it's, like simple, unopinionated protocols at the right timing with the market, like they just take over, right? I mean, it's because like everybody's going to hate on it because it doesn't do the thing the way that they want it, but it's not too opinionated. So you can kind of build the implementation however you want, as long as the things stuck together, right? And the world is big and complicated too. So it's not like, we're just like, a million people using BBS, right? And like, it's a lot easier to coordinate. And with Bitcoin on the other side is like even more beautiful, right? Like if you break the spec, you fork off. Like, there is not a lot of room really. I mean, there is not even a spec for Bitcoin. It's like, where's the spec document? Well, read the code. The BIPs, a lot of the BIPs were written after the code was written, right? So like, it's not like you have your documents and then you build the software. So
yeah, it's kind of strange that Lightning has like stronger processes than consensus. Given that like we live or die by consensus. Like if consensus screws up, then like industry's over. But
pretty much
Lightning's less important in comparison to consensus, but has stronger processes. I think a lot of it is like Rusty's, very good, very smart guy, very experienced.
I think it's because it's so complicated, right? Like, I mean, there is very few people in Lightning who truly understand what's going on. So they need this sort of like Oracle dudes and ladies, nifty, to sort of like, kind of like spec it out so that people can go build implementations. Like, I don't think there's a lot of people out there who truly understand what's going on. While like Bitcoin, it's complicated, but still understandable. Hang on, I lost the list here. Found it. Right, Zeus, Lightning Node Connect, new default home screen, BIP21, unified QRs, BTC Pay LN bank support, LND, new clipboard UX, better fee. So Zeus, like, it's come a long way. It's quite nice. I wasn't using it until I connected to Alby. Do you guys use that with your own nodes?
Yeah. I've been using it for years. It's awesome. It's come so far. It's come a long way. I used to get annoyed being like, "Hey guys, let me change the default max fee," because it used to be 10 sats, and if you just went with the default, sometimes the payments would fail. Now it's 100, and I think they've got a smarter UX around that as well. So definitely, that's way better. And yeah, it's really good. I use it often.
Yeah, Zeus is not only the best, but it's like the only app that lets you connect to your own node. So it just wins by default just for showing up.
I mean, what is there? Zap and Spark, and that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Evan, who's been putting in all that work for so long on that. And like, sort of like, again, it's one of those stories where it's like the solution meets the timing of the market, and like, it's just you. Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. I kind of been taking an approach with Lightning where I want to use it as a normie instead of like, because, you know, Bitcoin, I go like full, sort of like full tinfoil, full nerd, right? But with Lightning, I'm like, I want to use it like normal people are going to use it. You know, Phoenix, Breeze kind of thing. And then, because I want to, like, it's like this technology is for like mass market, right? So like, I kind of want to use like they're going to use to understand really what's available and how does it work, as opposed to like, you know, fiddling with like deep in it. Yeah. Next is Fountain 0.5.8. That's a podcasting 2.0 app. It's quite good. I use it a lot. Do you guys listen to podcasts there?
I personally don't. I need that feature parity of having like it available on the web and synced with my phone. So I use Pocket Cast still. I have Fountain, and I get donations, and I basically just donate that to like open source things or Geyser.fund and stuff on my podcasting 2.0 like donations.
What are the alternatives on the podcast, like Lightning podcast?
So you got Breez, there's Podverse FM, and maybe Antenna Pod, but I'm not 100% sure.
But UX wise, I mean, Breeze is decent. It's actually gotten a lot better. But like, you know, Fountain.fm is like in a whole different category. Like, you know, it really is, you know, it's still like early, a bit buggy, you know, a small team and stuff, but like it really is in a completely different category. And you can clip stuff too, which is kind of cool, and share those. And they have this kind of ads where like you can create an ad for whatever thing, and like it pays users to listen to the ads. So people actually do listen. They're trying like actually different stuff, and the app was built from ground up for just pod. Like there is that other pod casting app.
Sphinx.
No, Sphinx. Yeah, there's Sphinx, but no, there's one more. Pod. I think one of you said the name.
Podverse.
Yeah, like that one is like it's like the UX is unusable. I think it was just sort of like Lightning was shoved in there, but yeah, no, that space is growing.
So you could use one of these for this podcast, right? But you're not currently.
Yeah, I am. So
you are? Okay.
Yeah, so like unfortunately, like Fountain doesn't support like splitting per episode when people are streaming sats. You know, it's still all like peanuts amount of money, right? But like it's super cool. I mean, like people like instead of just having like shitty troll comments on YouTube or whatever. Mind you, I'm very new to this podcasting thing. You know, there's this thing called boostergrams, right? Like it is super satisfying that somebody goes and sends you like, you know, like 50,000 sats, like 1,000 sats or whatever, like with a message, right? As opposed to just being like, you know, somebody with like no skin in that comment, right? And the splits are cool too, because you can stream like the sats to other people as well. So yeah, having a lot of fun with that. I think it's cool.
I know Lightning Junkies podcast discussed these Lightning podcast apps a lot.
Cool.
Haven't heard a podcast from him, Chaz, recently.
Umbrel update 24.0.1-2. Advanced settings are here. New Bitcoin app update in Umbrel. Toggle Tor, ClearNet, I2P, full-rbf. I saw the full-rbf tweet. That was great. We updated the app. Now you can go and turn on full-rbf.
I mean, it's cool that they're offering all these options, right? And
yeah,
I think they've innovated in that way of like really quickly and easily showing that, right? Because otherwise, what's the user going to have to do? They're going to have to learn how to go into bitcoin.conf, manually change all this stuff. Like, it's a pain, right? Having it all automated massively opens the audience in terms of who can run a node and configure it the way they want. So good on them for that.
I mean, you can run your mempool.space there, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, actually, we have a similar option coming soon where you're going to be able to, well, if you're using mempool.space, which is our official instance, then you'll be able to toggle on and off the full RBF. Obviously, if it's on your own node, you would do that at the Bitcoin core, bitcoin.conf level. But yeah, exactly. It's all about giving the user the choice and not making these kind of decisions for them. Like recently, blockstream.info.
Slightly different company.
Slightly different company. No, blockstream.info enabled like full RBF, and I had a lot of people in my DMs encouraging me to do the same thing. And I said,
yes.
I'm not going to force that decision on all our users. I'll just implement both and have a toggle switch, and then people can decide which one they want to use.
But the key is, what do you make the default, on or off?
Yeah.
Do you just mirror Bitcoin Core? I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, I think it's perfectly reasonable to be a bit of an activist, like on how you want your software. Like, I think like Core is a different sort of. It's unfortunate that the way Bitcoin works, you really want just one implementation. So it does create a lot more weight into Core's sort of opinions, right, through software. But
well, it's complicated, right? Because everyone has their own use case, their own business model, their own threat model. Like some of our, even like enterprise sponsors want this option, and then the other ones want the exact opposite option, right? So the only way to make everyone happy is to give them the choice. And
well, make them decide on setup. You have to answer like on or off.
Right, but then is that another UX hurdle of like getting people to like, oh, there's all these 10,000 dialog boxes I need to do to set up my node.
Yeah.
You can see how that can also hurt the adoption, right? In the way that we want, which is more people to use their own node and use their own stuff.
Hey, did you filter for RBF on mempool? Can I see the percentage of RBF transactions going through?
Yeah, we have some PRs open now that kind of track that, but there's some concerns why we didn't merge them or ship that feature yet. It's tricky, right? Because some transactions get replaced like an incredible amount of times, and it's kind of like a denial of service attack vector almost, right? Like you could fill up our database just by replacing the transaction a lot, or like the database would grow very, very quickly. So we kind of have some concerns about it. It's tricky, right? It's complicated to keep every copy of every transaction that ever hit the mempool ever, right? So.
Oh, I hear you. It reminds me of our old block explorer way back in the day. Was btclook.com. And we had Bitcoin was about 6 gigabytes total transaction data, like total. So we just ran it in Redis. That was nice. Having all transaction data in Redis, it was
in RAM. Yeah.
In RAM, like and not virtual RAM, like real RAM. Oh, it was absolutely great. As soon, like that project started getting expensive and very expensive, and we're like, shut it up.
Yeah, we do something similar on mempool space. They don't have the entire blockchain in RAM, but we have like 100 gigs of it or something. So,
right. Like quick other thing here, I noticed on the Umbrel, the I2P, right? I haven't really used much, and like I don't know the state of I2P. Is I2P gonna give me a slap in the back of the head because now it's being used, or still sort of like, just two people in it? The I and the P.
So I would say that it hasn't reached the adoption of Tor, and so we haven't really seen whether it will encounter the same challenges as Tor. But I think it was John Attack added it to Bitcoin Core, and a bunch of people have used it and connected to his node.
I mean, it's a lot faster, right?
Is it a lot faster than Tor?
Does it have enough traffic for us to know that is a lot faster once there is a lot of traffic kind of thing? Or is just sort of theoretically is faster?
It's kind of like Nostr right now, right? Like if nobody's attacking it, works great or works, but as soon as we have some serious spam attacks, like the relays are just going to get crushed, right? So
yeah, there is ways of fixing that. We were working on some of that for fun internally. We'll get to it. Okay, OBW version 0.2.0 adds experimental support for LUD18 invoice creation with name description and does other minor improvements. Anybody is a OBW user? I don't know much about this one.
Haven't used.
No.
Okay. Liana 0.1 first beta release. So this is a new app-ish. Simple Bitcoin wallet that features a time lock recovery path for your coins. Coins are spendable as regular wallet, but secondary keys become available after configurable period. Oh, that's cool. So like it's like some more complex transaction scripting here for
it's very like Miniscript basically. It's a whole like demonstration of Miniscript uses. So I think this might be an interesting use coming up, like maybe not in Liana per se, but if more and more wallets start supporting Miniscript, then maybe people are more happy to use multisig if you have like a backout condition to save yourself from like,
right.
Yeah, or maybe it makes sense in like other institutional contexts or, where, for a business, maybe you have like different conditions that now because of Miniscript, it's now available for people to use their same wallet across different setups.
Do all Miniscript functionality work with ECDSA, or do you have to move to Schnorr?
I believe it was done even before like the Taproot stuff. So, yeah.
No, I know Miniscript was, but I'm not sure about like all the functions of it.
I don't know. I don't know the answer.
It's all pre-Taproot. There's a Taproot descriptor, but there hasn't yet been a release for Miniscript post-Taproot.
Oh, okay.
So there's the Taproot descriptor you can use, but that's just the descriptor side. It isn't the Miniscript side. There hasn't been Taproot Miniscript released yet. I don't know what's holding it up, but
yeah. Do we have a final spec for Moosig yet? I haven't been paying attention.
It's pretty much there. They thought it was done, and then they found a little issue with it, a little edge case. Now it's like going back to discussion. But I think it's like 99% done.
Cool. So there you go, Ledger plus Miniscript. So Ledger now has a Miniscript integration, and they also launched, should be lower here on the comments, they also have like a cool sort of like visualizer UI thing where you can go and sort of like see the Miniscript in a visual way. So it's a little bit more sane. It reminds me a little bit of what was his name? Guy who did CTV.
Jeremy Rubin.
Jeremy, yes. Sorry, I forgot your name, Jeremy. So Jeremy had a very cool sort of visualizer
Sapia.
too. For
his thing was called Sapia, or is called Sapia.
Yeah. As scripts get more complex, I mean, there really is no other way to handle it. You're gonna have to use some form of like visualization and sort of like to build it out. Things are gonna get weird, man, once you have like real Taproot transactions out there that like really go through the complexity that you could go if you wanted to.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see whether like existing wallets go in this direction and start offering lots of like complex scripting, or whether it's going to be like these new wallets that come out of nowhere, like this Revolt release, where they're specifically building for complex scripting.
Oh yeah, Revolt. That's
they're the guys behind this Liana one.
Yeah, it's Kevin and Rosius. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin and Antoine and them.
That's right. They've been working on Revolt for years. It's cool, but it's gonna be niche until Bitcoin market is like 10, 100x the amount of users. In my view, like it's hard to find enough people that are gonna want to like mess around with like this kind of stuff, especially when it comes to their life savings.
Depends who you're targeting, doesn't it? Depends if you're targeting enterprise, high net worth individuals.
Yeah, it could be a business play.
That's right. Yeah.
I could imagine businesses who want, maybe 2 of 3 of this set and maybe, 3 or 5 of some other set. And then like in a few years time, a back out condition, like all kinds of crazy things that could be built with Miniscript, right?
Yeah. What's hard is that like once you set the script is set, right? You can't change the script. That's the part that's like kind of tricky when it comes, because businesses change.
Yeah, but I'm sure they could code in some kind of key rotation thing and then spin it into a new complicated Miniscript thing when the guy retires or changes job.
Yeah,
okay,
that's
spend
true.
out of this into a new,
Well, that's kind of what the Liquid Federation does, right? Like they have this relocking thing, and then if it doesn't get relocked in so many blocks, then it has a different fallback.
Sometimes I feel like just like a single sig and passphrase just has that kind of peace.
You're in this camp.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I'm just seeing this as like, this could be super handy for inheritance as well. Like maybe you could have some kind of dead man switch thing. Like maybe it's a 3 or 5, but when I die after 2 years, then I can it's like some reduced condition for my kid to take the key, something like that.
Yeah, and then the destination address for that was accidentally lost. I don't know, man. Like, it's a complexity is tricky. I'm not saying it's not gonna. It's super cool. I just like the complexity of it scares the crap out of me because I see the sad stories, right, when they reach out to support and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, man, it's like, it's always the programmer husband, right, who codes his
some
own
overly complex thing, and
custom. I'm gonna build my own custom script for this transaction, right? My own custom multi-sig thing, and then like the wife is just sort of like, and the money's gone, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, I think it's important to stay on the well-trodden pathways, let's say, so that way someone competent can help recover,
Yeah, these things will happen. I just think they're going to happen like a lot later on when there is no question about how the script plays out in time and people go through a few losses until they figure out.
Yeah, this one will need a few pioneers.
I think you're very focused on the consumer use case. I think enterprise is very different.
Yes, I agree. And also enterprise has like normally like proper processes to sort of go through things. So they audit their own processes to know if they get there, right? Like they can spend the money and the time.
Yeah, it's a lot of operational, and you need like watchtowers and all these things to know if the funds didn't move in this time or whatever. Some kind of reminder system. I guess that's what some companies are
you
trying.
You put on calendars. You put a private key right on Apple Calendar, right? And then, boom, done, right? You can even write a script, that checks for private keys in your calendar and just sweeps them when it comes to the date. Nobody's going to be able to see it before.
We're using Lastpass. Have you heard I haven't got to the bottom of exactly what's happening with Lastpass.
I think there's an item in here about that too.
Yeah. Oh, is it later on? Okay, we'll leave it for later on.
Oh, man. Yeah, we're going to definitely get there. All right, so this is the last of the software updates here. Damus 0.1.7.8, 8.3, 8.4. Will is an absolute beast. JB55. He's changing all the airplane wings as the airplane is flying. Prop to those kids, man. It's kind of cool because it's not money, right? Like you can take a few more liberties on how things are done. And, we all kind of expect that our keys could be also screwed and just have to have new keys. Now, what's really cool is that there is a open, I don't know if it's an issue or PR, it's an issue. So if you cryptographer out there, big brain cryptographer out there, go to Nostr-protocol issues 103 on Nostr protocol GitHub. They are working out key rotation, stateless key rotation, so that, that's how you handle this kinds of like key pairs that you use bear on protocols and things. So, once there is like a clever way of doing that key rotation, I think we're greatly de-risk the issue and we can all move on from this. But I totally understand why they don't want to hold back the protocol development and the client development and everything because of this.
The thing about Nostr is it feels like everyone is working on client apps or other end user apps, but there could be a lot more development in the relay. I mean, it's not as sexy, right? Like, who wants to work on the relay?
No, it's the same people.
Right.
It's the same people. The same people building clients are building the protocol and are building the relays.
Right, but like, for example, there's no way to sync relays data,
Right.
With each other. So if that one big relay goes down, then all that data is just lost, right? So is it really decentralized? Is it, like...
I was actually like reflecting over that exact question the other day. I think that topology is just like bamboozling us Bitcoiners. Their topology is not meant to have like mirrored relays. I mean, it's a nice to have for whatever purpose you might have a purpose for that, right? But like the way it's supposed to work is you have a couple relays that you like or use, and you have your information. So you don't want all relays to have all the information. It's impossible to scale that way.
It's not a blockchain.
It's not a blockchain.
Yeah, but also, like, what if that relay just goes down? So you need multiple copies of data, right?
But that happens in a many-to-many graph, right? So essentially, think about it this way. Livera is connected to 3 relays that he pushes his data to, right? I'm connected to 3 relays that I push my data to. We might have a Venn diagram where 1 or 2 of those relays intersect, right? So that data is redundant. It's just not redundant in a single place. That's the topology for Nostr to scale. So people will have multiple relays. Listen, you might have relays that just have like a kind of like a catch-all for that client. Like say Damus, for example, that has the Twitter experience. They might want to optimize to deliver that Twitter experience by having a single relay.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, though, right? Like, you want all of your tweets to appear. You want all of your followers to appear.
Yeah, but it doesn't... It won't scale like that. Like, the idea is going to be like, you're going to have like, say like 1, 2, maybe 3 circles of distance from you, right? So say I only want to see the data from people I follow and the people that they follow, right? I don't want to see world. And that's kind of like what Twitter does at the same time. Like Twitter only like really has, like they have some algos there that only show you a certain extent, right? It's impossible to have a fire hose of the total, right?
But Twitter does have the fire hose of the total for enterprise customers, for example, right?
Yeah, but like if you try to search, it's not like that great.
I think you're focusing on, like you said, the individual end user experience. I'm talking about like the relays specifically. You do need this type of full node relay, if you want to call it that.
Oh, and I'm sure it's gonna come. I mean, like somebody is gonna just go and sort of like make a PR. It's like, here's a mirror functionality. It's like start at this birthday date, right? And just sort of like you can already mirror, right? Like it's not an official, let's call it, they say functionality, but you can keep on just taking it.
Right. So like, for example, JB sent me like all of his events. And so I'm just importing those into my node manually with a script. But
I think that's the kind of stuff that you start sort of like working on when there is a data loss. Because it's so early, right? No, like really, it's just
I'm
so
the only
early.
guy who's like, hey, can you send me all your events just in case,
So like on our side, right? Like we have this thing called BRB.io, right? That we're working on. And that's essentially like the way we approach new technology is we try to build like a fairly like comprehensive thing for the new technology, right? And then we try to bump into every fucking problem that could come from that technology, right? It was the blockchain explorer back then for us, the BTC look thing, that we bump into the memory thing and we killed it. So, but like, essentially what we're doing now is we're trying to figure out like, okay, clearly mirroring things should be a service, paid service, or like doing a few things should all be invoice-based so you can prevent spamming. And then sort of like try to build on top of that as like a sane sort of like a sane base. A sane base for an Nostr type service is there is a cost per node, right? Per event, at least in my view. And that's the only way you scale this thing, right? Because if there is a cost, spammers are out, right? and a lot of posting is spammy, right? So I think you can raise the signal versus noise floor in terms of like content, and two, you can prevent like actual bad actor behavior too. I think, like we are also running like free relays. There are anon kind of thing, but I think those are important to bootstrap the network. But I don't think those are how we sort of move to the future. It's possible, say, for example, Damus has a value add, right? Say, like, I don't know, like Damus Premium, right? Like Twitter Premium or whatever. And then, if you pay that, you get a relay that just mirrors our information for as long as you're paying.
Yeah.
And they have like 10 different mirrored relays, and then there's no data loss, right?
So maybe as an example, in the future, you as a user might pay some relays to relay your stuff. And then maybe on the other hand, maybe if you want historical access, you're paying somebody because you want historical access to old stuff, that some old tweets or whatever that they had put out. Because there's not one canonical record, just like twitter.com with the full proper record. It's kind of like there is no one true info or source, I guess.
It's kind of like a weird thing too. It's like, I don't see Nostr existing without like a Bitcoin relationship, because technically it's independent, right? They just happen to use Schnorr as their key pair algo, right? But in my view, it doesn't exist without Bitcoin. And that's why sort of I added to the Bitcoin list and to the Bitcoin things. It's like Bitcoin at the end of the day is people, right? Like, you have to coordinate nodes. You have to coordinate what you want. You have transactions to make. You're paying a human between humans, even if it's servers to servers. So like, I see it as like the decentralized coordination and communication layer on like how we handle Bitcoin if the other ones are not as friendly to Bitcoin. And also the way you scale Nostr is with Bitcoin payments, probably Lightning, and sort of like, I think they're going to have this very incestuous relationship between the two if it takes off.
It's taking off though, surprisingly.
It is.
It's like surprisingly blowing up.
It's pretty cool. I mean, it's the
Dorsey effect, isn't it?
Yes.
It was kind of already going.
Didn't it blow
right?
up after?
Yes. I mean, like, okay. Jack has like 6 million followers on Twitter, and he's the guy who invented Twitter. So like, if the guy who invents the most successful public square platform sort of like joins this new public square platform, like people will listen, right? Like,
but even better than that was when Twitter banned Nostr, right?
Yeah, that too.
yes.
Yeah, it was impressive they got Nostr into that Elon Musk.
Yeah, I know. Like it's almost like on purpose. Like there's this like completely unknown technology that like, it's like full nerd, right? And then they mention it. Like they didn't mention TikTok. They didn't mention like there's other 50 other platforms. They mentioned like Nostr. Yeah. Like, what is that?
And it was so obvious in response to Jack, right? Because like 2 days before that, he had donated some sats.
Yes.
I do wonder every time I go on Twitter whether I'm just being guinea pigged by like a couple of billionaire strategies.
Oh yeah,
so like,
I mean,
like plotting between like, I don't know, Jack Dorsey and Elon Musk to try and get people using Nostr. You have no idea what's going on behind the scenes.
He did sell, I think, his shares, right? It was part of the deal with Elon, I think, and Jack was also a board member. So,
so Dorsey doesn't have any Twitter shares anymore.
I don't know if he still has, but like I think like an allocation.
I thought he
was
still
made.
has some.
Yeah, but I think part of the allocation was some of his stuff. I don't know exact details of the deal. Not that matters too much, but I think there was a blasting done there too. The other thing too with the Nostr thing is like, like it's immediately Bitcoiners moving on and Bitcoiners paying each other and like the Lightning thing, and it's just an interesting natural sort of progression in there. It's sticky too.
I think where the rubber meets the road though is, will we see non-Bitcoiners jump on Nostr and use it, right? I think that's kind of, if we see non-Bitcoiners jump in and use it because they see it has value, then it, maybe it starts to grow.
Yeah, network. I mean, that's always been the Twitter conundrum, right? Like, I have the Mastodon instance with a bunch of Bitcoiners in it. Nobody uses it. I mean, there's some people that I don't use it. It's my own instance. I can't wait to just redirect that domain to Nostr. There's like 5,000 people in it.
Yeah, but Stephan, you could say that about Bitcoin too, right? Like,
Yeah.
like are non-Bitcoiners going to join our little thing here?
Yeah, of course. But what I'm saying is is it going to grow significantly in user base, or is it just going to be kind of like our little echo chamber thing?
Like Twitter without being able to dunk on no coiners, like is not this is what, what's always going to be missing until the normies come into Nostr is like, is there a dumb economist from The Economist for us to dunk on, when the Bitcoin price goes up? Like you need that is part of why Twitter is fun.
Part of the
right?
fun,
Is the interaction with the people that don't want to interact with us.
But yeah, that intersection between Nostr and Lightning is what interests me most, especially with the devs like JB and Fiat Jaff. They've done a lot of Lightning stuff. So like hopefully we'll see like
it'd be cool.
the coolest possible integration between like a social media platform protocol and Lightning. Because Lightning's not going to be integrated in Twitter anytime soon. So
no,
I think that's the thing that's most interesting.
I think Doge comes before Lightning does. Even Shiba probably comes before. So it's gonna be Doge, Shiba, and then maybe Lightning. All right. So another client for Nostr there is this iris.to. It was Martini. It was his own protocol, and then now he converted that client to also do Nostr. So
that's cool.
It's gobbling up. There is a lot of salt around all the other social media, semi-decentralized or decentralized for marketing. Anyways, so that's some stuff there. All right, guys. Is there other project software updates that we missed that maybe you guys know that I missed? Otherwise, I'll move on to the next section of the show.
Oh, somebody on Twitter said that Samurai Wallet released a new version with stealth mode. You see that?
No, it must be new, like just now.
Yeah, like 2 hours ago.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'm seeing it now. Yeah, so I know this was an old feature they had where basically the idea is you could hide that you were running Samurai Wallet on your phone. And so I think they took it away, but now obviously they must have brought it back. And you can mask your Samurai Wallet as a calculator app or as a,
I saw that. I saw that video. So I just want to put this out there. It's super useful against like dumb attackers, but please be careful with this stuff. Don't try to be a clever ass at the airport, because at the airport, what they're going to do is they're going to stick your I want to be a hacksaw Android phone into a little machine that's going to copy every byte of memory that thing has, and not just the drive, the RAM, the EEPROM. Like there's nothing left from that phone that does not get copied. And then what they do is they break it later. So just know that like don't bring privacy dependent things through airports, and don't bring Bitcoin through airports, because if they want to get it, they will get it.
What country is that?
Every country. They all have this little machine. There's like 2 or 3 defense contractors that make this little black box with a cable for every type of phone existing to man. And the border, that TSA dumbass kind of thing, like they just plug it in and press a button, right? It's like it beams the information straight to some database in the FBI, the NSA, the whatever the heck 3-letter agency. And it just sits there, either in the queue to be brute forced, in the queue for known attacks, right? Because there's a ton of 0 days that we don't know about that they have access to. There is also backdoors. There's all kinds of crap. Those guys have access to it all. Sometimes it shows to the border agent via like a literal web UI on his phone, like, look, this guy is gonna bomb somebody, right? Like, please detain. You know what I mean? Like, they have all kinds of like, just please don't take shit through airports, like
including podcasts.
That's right. Like, don't brick it before. If you forgot it on you, brick it before you go through border. Those guys can get in. They'll get into anything. It's just a matter of time.
It sounds like a very American thing, though, that you're describing.
No, all like, like there's a few countries that will have like some laws against that to protect citizens. But like at the end of the day, like you're going to be, everybody has their rights suspended when they go through airports, pretty much. So like they might not even ask you. They might do it illegally too. Oh, I'm going to just take your phone, from you quickly, whatever. Boom, done, gone, right? Like the majority of the countries can sort of like, they may not be able to compel you to give you the password, but they can definitely like hold the device to inspect the device. They might be plugging it in. I wouldn't depend on my rights in an airport for security.
I wouldn't even hold much money on a phone anyway, even if you're not going to airports.
Yeah. No, and also like, because, some people have like read-only Xpubs in their phones for their like big stash. Like imagine if the bad guys, right, like government guys get like your Xpub, like they will know every transaction going forward forever on that wallet. Not great. So yeah, so just please be careful with your sensitive information through airports.
I don't have any sensitive information.
That's right.
He doesn't have any Bitcoin,
Only criminals want privacy. I have nothing to hide. Like, I keep my private keys like on my website. Which private keys? I don't have any I am so nothing to hide that I only use public keys. I use the same hacks as the private key. I'm joking. That is not mathematically possible. But anyways, so Project Spotlight. So these are new projects that sort of got launched. There is the SMS for Sats I tried to use. With the service that I was using, it didn't work, but I've been told that it does work. This is really cool. When you need a burner phone number for SMS for validation, because all the websites now require you to have a phone number to KYC light you into their service, really to prevent spam. You can pay a couple sats there and have a temporary 20-minute phone number for that SMS verification. So props to them. LNVPN, privacy-focused VPN provider accepts Lightning. That's nice. Heatbit, electric heater from Bitcoin miners. I think this one will come in handy. It's $1,000 machine that looks like an air filter. Cool. If you're going to waste electricity with heat, at least profit from Bitcoin. Zaprite, Bitcoin invoicing, project management and expenses tracking. That's cool. All right. Boosts. I'm going to read this because this folks sent us some boostograms. Raw 13 Maxi, well, that's Rindell, 5,000 sets. An hour in, and Adam Curry hasn't read Spiral release notes yet. Ape Myth Rendier, value for value, good to see you. Our change man in VK, hopefully by sats helped. Great discussion. I wish you had a full mining expert panel on. Maybe do another one everyone in a few months. I hope the exchanges are all collapsed. I like the workflow NVK described. Bring back the coffee shop cash swap, but this time with open dimes. Yeah, I really like physical coin mixing. You bring a stack of SATSCARDs or open dimes and they just all exchange between each other. No on-chain footprint. A user with a lot of numbers. Thank you for your 20,000 sats. Hi, Traverse, 50,000 sats. Vake, always a listener. Many sats sent to us. A non-user, 7,500 sats. Okay, guys, I think I'm going to not read a non-users. We're very thankful for your sats. They're being donated to interesting sats initiatives, but there's no message. Redusa, all signal, no, not bored yet. I hope this episode bored you, Redusa. Nacho Bitcoin, Nacho Libre. CoinKite is a sauna apparel company disguised as a hardware company, if you understand this. Yeah, that is true. Eric99, Stay Humble Stack Sats. CA Denner, how to get my Satoshi white paper art considered. Okay, I think I've already responded to that one. All right, guys, this is an ad-free show. So your sats are welcome, mostly because it's fun and they get donated. Mostly on Nostr now. Sats come in for the pod, sats go out on Nostr. All right, guys, the news and noteworthy part of the show. We're going to like glance just through a few of this. If there is any stories you guys are very interested about, sort of do jump in. So the Block media company says, cover crypto news independently has been secretly funded by, oh yeah, this is the drama with SBF. Everyone is bored of this. SBF owns the media, including the New York Times, so he can go fuck himself. EU to make crypto companies report tax details to authorities. That's a doozy.
Not looking good for freedom in the EU. Need the EU Bitcoiners to fight against it.
I can't remember like recent like EU having any freedom. I mean, like I think that freedom just kind of ended in the EU for like a couple decades now at least.
Yeah, it's pretty bad though.
They might say that they're freer than North Americans or whatever, but not quite. Coinbase received 12,320 government demands for, yeah. Well, I kind of think it's important that exchanges say that out loud, how many requests they get, so people get a sense of like the level of enemas that are happening.
Yeah. I mean, that would be on millions of customers, right? Probably 50 million customers, maybe more.
Anti-Money Laundering Act introduced today by Senator Warren, never going to pass. That parasite only does this when she needs attention. Bitcoin miner Core Scientific is filing for Chapter 11. Yep. Stay humble, stats.
How is the stock down 98%?
Well, I mean, they bankrupt.
Oh, okay.
And remember, like Bitcoin mining stocks pumped hard.
So what problems did they have? Like other than the Bitcoin price going down 70%?
They were over leveraged. All the OG miners know that you collect the sats at the price is high, or the ramp up really when they're the most profitable, and then you don't over expand because the price is going to collapse. That's how Bitcoin works. But then there was all this class of new sort of like, I am very smart banker, financier, who sort of came into Bitcoin. It's like, well, the mining business is very simple. You know, like you get a lot of miners and you get some energy contracts. They're going to get rugged on you. And boom, you're making money, which is true in a bull market. And then they actually leveraged their BTC. They also collateralized their miners for more money for more expansion, right? And then the price collapsed. They are in one-way direction trade, and that's it, man. It's boom, gone. And then Marshall is buying all their miners now. Gobble, gobble, gobble. Right. More than 100 Bitcoin tides to the Quadriga moved. So I don't have a lot of information on this, but that's sketchy. We all know that Gerald totally pretended to be dead, and now the coins are moving. Do you know any more information about this, Livera or Wiz?
No, I mean, I saw some news articles, but I don't have any inside info. I mean, I thought, yeah, basically either this guy faked his death or some hacker got access to the coins after his death. This is the guy who died in like 2018 or 19 after he was like 30 years old. And I mean, you're in Canada, so I guess you would know more about the Canadian Bitcoin scene at that time. I don't really follow news. Yeah, but basically it did emerge that he was doing a Ponzi. Like this was literally a fraud.
Oh yeah, no, that I know.
Yeah, that part came out, and but I guess the coins are moving, and so obviously someone's either got access to the keys or he faked his death. I mean, those seem like the only two outcomes.
Did you watch that Netflix documentary on the whole scam?
No, I didn't.
Oh, that was another scam. Was it Crypto Queen or something like this? There was like another scam. Yeah.
No, it was about Quadriga. It was like a Netflix.
Oh, there's one.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Okay, yeah. I want to watch it now. I knew him. Like, I met the guy. Like, I mean, not a friend or anything, but like, I met he was a local, right? So I met the guy in many different sort of events and things, and it was funny because, so there was this old exchange called CA Vertex, and these were the good days, right? You show up with literally cash at the bank, and you tell them to deposit in CA Vertex account using a very specific magical number so they could link the deposit to your account on all legal. There was so much money flowing through that then the government said, oh, no, you cannot deposit cash into other people's bank accounts anymore. And then Vertex, I think, got hacked once, but not for everything. And then Quadriga launched, and if I remember right, they bought Quadriga and all the users from Quadriga. And Quadriga had that look of like, whoa, you guys are way less sketchy, still very sketchy, but way less sketchy than the previous exchange, right? In the early days, all exchanges were really sketchy. So so these guys were like at least wearing a suit and they went public. This was a public company. They did a reverse IPO where they buy an indebted public company and use their ticker. So anyways, it was, everybody knew it was sketchy and he was trading against the customers, but nobody knew it was to this extent.
Well, the more interesting thing about the notes here that you wrote is that the bankruptcy trustee transferred the Bitcoin into the, either compromised cold storage or, depending on if you think he's faked his death or not, right? Why would the auditors do that?
Well, you'd be surprised at how dumb, some of the entities that handled the trusting or the custody of this stuff in midst of litigation. I've heard of a story of somebody giving a DVD with private keys to the CRA, for example, which is the IRS in Canada. There is a lot of, Francis once paid, I think, his taxes or the company's taxes or something I can't remember. It was some deal with the CRA. He made it public in an open dime. He just gave an open dime to the tax man. It's here. So that's pretty cool. And but also imagine the chain of custody after that, right? Somebody has private keys in their hands. For people not seeing it, Wiz is shaking his head.
Yeah. I don't own any Bitcoin, so I don't have that problem.
That's right. HRF, Bitcoin Development Fund, awards $325,000 in new grants. I won't read each grant, but it's very cool. There's a link on the show notes for it. Palzorx launches the VC version of Drive Chains. Never going to happen. Do you guys see a path in which we have a soft fork to accommodate Drive Chains? Absolutely fucking not.
I don't think so. Yeah. And then does that mean the company is basically contingent on a soft fork happening in Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Can you not pivot to use side chains?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Maybe they go Taro style or some, but then it's not drive chain at all. Pretty much the definition of the drive chain is the fact that you have the miners participating in it. So they might be able to convince a few miners to mine some of their crap, but it's still not going to be integrated, right? If you don't have a soft fork or a hard fork, which would be the real way of doing it.
I guess the problem down the line is when there is a soft fork, Paul Stork would want to try and add this into the soft fork.
Oh, but people would say, no, we didn't agree to that,
I find that drive chains are very cool, but they have terrible incentives because they reward miners directly, and that's not good. And then you can go down that rabbit hole. The link to his new company announcement is on the notes. Everything we talk about here has beautiful notes because now Johnny makes my sketchy notes amazing notes. Thanks, Johnny. Lastpass Hacked. Yeah, we talked about this one. Man, the idea of putting, listen, for websites that are whatever, you can change passwords anyways, and it's not a huge deal, fine. Have a way to sync your passwords. But putting private keys of any type in things like this, it's kind of really dumb. A lot of people put seeds in these things. They put all kinds of Bitcoin sensitive material in it.
Yeah, bad idea.
It's a total honeypot. It's a massive target, right? Please come here and take this.
Is it really so hard to memorize your passwords?
You want recoverability, right? I have 1 million passwords, but
and you can reset them too, right? If you forget.
Yeah.
What's the What's the real advantage here? I don't get it.
I fucking hate why websites ask me for passwords. Don't. Just use email. Like, send me an email to log in.
Like a YubiKey or other UTF, support.
YubiKey is also pound. It was fully pound.
Pound?
Pound. I can't. And I'm ESL.
The good thing with the password managers is you can generate unique random passwords and long random passwords. So I mean, if they were secure, they'd be very useful.
That's the problem.
I don't know what the latest state is of this hack. Like, are all the passwords now just in the darknet now? I don't know.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, like,
is it completely done? I don't know what the latest status is.
I think I can't remember if it was like an issue with like how many rounds their stretching is done. So like, if you have older accounts in them, which is probably all the good early adopters who have security that matters, you probably have like not enough stretching, so it's very easy to break. And then the newer people is harder, but it's out there. For website passwords, aside from the privacy implications of all that, you could change the passwords, but password managers are a shitcoin, and passwords on websites are a shitcoin too. If you are interested in a very simple way of doing better password management for your website, go check out bitcointreasuries.net. The way you log in is you get an email. I don't want to hold passwords for you. So it's just an email and a token you can get into your account. If people have your email, they can reset your password in most platforms anyway. So it doesn't matter. And same for SMS.
The UX isn't great to have to go into your email account to log in every time you go into a website. It's not great UX, is it?
To me, it's easier than having to open a password manager.
It's like autofill. Autofills it. It recognizes the site you're on. So that's another good thing with password managers is that
the autofill.
Autofill, and also if you like go to the wrong website, like it won't autofill the password.
Yeah,
for you.
that does help a little bit.
So that's good for like clicking on a link and email or something.
But with the email, you get thrown into the website. Like you click on the link with the token, and boom, you're into the website.
Should you really click on links in email though?
Well, I mean, if you have like a whitelisted, right? Like if you have like the email as a favorite, right? That sender, I think it's a reasonable. There is no winning. I mean, like
if you've just clicked,
all these solutions are garbage.
If you just gone to the website, clicked that you want to log in, and then that email comes, that's a bit better than just clicking on a bunch of random links in your email.
Yeah, that's exactly how it works.
Because at least the timing is good.
How about UTF support in Cold Card? Can we?
Yeah, no. I am not gonna let you connect the Cold Card to a fucking browser. Absolutely no way. No. So we do have a cool thing though. So we because of the BIP 85, you can generate essentially BIP 85 derived passwords that match the gibberish that websites need from Cold Card, and Cold Card can emulate a keyboard via USB. So you could inject in there if you wanted to.
No, but I want that U2F challenge response.
Yeah, not gonna happen. Like USB spec is an absolute cluster. Web off is cluster. U2F is a cluster. Maybe one day we come up with a device that runs a separate firmware so that you literally can't use that cold card for Bitcoin.
Or just have two cold cards.
Yeah. But the problem is people get lazy. And that's how you get robbed, is when you get lazy.
You're just too paternalistic. You need a bit more customer knows best.
No, absolutely not.
The customer's always right. Yeah, like, fuck. Joking.
No, Cold Card is designed for me. Like, okay? Like, for me, and it's going to be the way that, like, my brain needs it so that I don't screw myself out of my coins.
Yeah, but it's a big business now. You got to think beyond your needs.
Yeah, nope. There is plenty, like, Ledger Trezor are out there for the people that like want to compromise, their security. They are filling that niche of the market with the wrong sets of trade-offs. There's only one way of doing this right, and we are the people who do it right. See, opinionated ways of making software. Never on the protocol, only on the clients. You know what I mean, right? Like when you're making software, The only way to think about it is I'm right, everybody's wrong. And that's why this software is going to be great. And hopefully there's enough people out there who thinks exactly like you, so they use your product.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's basically what mempool space does also. Simon and I just have these very, very passionate arguments about where this pixel should be or what color it should be, and the result of that is always very high quality results, right? Because we're making it for ourselves, right? Everybody else is wrong.
Yeah, no, and it's not just wrong. It's abhorrently wrong, and they shouldn't exist. And like, like you're throwing like darts at their pictures on like, it's funny. Like certain kinds of client software or devices, they require that kind of like absolutist sort of like very intense opinionated view of the world so that it can achieve that experience, right? It has no room for your opinions. Although like our users are great because they think exactly like us and they submit like the best feature requests. We're like, oh my God, that's perfect. This is exactly how I want to do this. Thank you. All right. So yeah, don't use LastPass or any centralized. It's the same way that Authy. It's like the dumbest possible software service out there. It's like 2-factor authentication on the cloud.
Yeah, that defeats the entire purpose of the second factor. It's so funny. I met the founder of that company after he sold it to, I don't know, it was Symantec or some bigger security company.
Amazing. Good for him.
And I told him exactly that, what you just said. I was like, why would you code it like this? It's like, well, I already sold the company, so I can be honest with you now. Like, yeah.
I remember having like, because they showed up right around, right after Gox, I think. And they were trying to sell to all the Bitcoin companies, including us, right? Like, why don't you guys use off? I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, Google Authenticator is free and is offline. It's kind of the whole point.
Not anymore. Now Google Authenticator like lets you transfer it or whatever, right?
But it's transferred right from device to device. There's still no cloud backup, I think. Whatever. It's good enough. I mean, remember, right? Like it
is a second factor. It's cryptographic. Yeah, I get it.
And the spooks also have remote access to your phone anyways, right? Like all the phones, including your Graphene Calyx OS, all remote accessible by the spooks. So like they love seeing like pictures of you from the front and from the back. So yeah, phones are compromised anyways. I feel like 2-factor is essentially, it's just a defense against bad guys that are not state actors, because they would have to break into the websites to change like the tokens, right? If they didn't have the token. While state actors can just sort of like, either put a gun in the guy's website and say, hey, change his token, or just let me in through the API, the CIA API. Everybody has an endpoint for that.
It still makes sense to use 2FA for other than state actors. And
exactly.
So I think your point there was just use Google Authenticator rather than Authy, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
A new Bitcoin-based encrypted chat platform has been announced. Hacksum, whatever. No, pointless. Just use Nostr. I'm kidding. Nostr DMs are still they're private content, but not private social graphs. So be careful.
Yeah, that metadata is quite scary to look at. Did you?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, and also because it's public key pairs, anyone can send you a message, right? So, I mean, technically everybody can just like pretend they're talking to somebody, but there won't be a reply. But also you don't know if there was a reply because it could have been in a different relay. So you can't prove a negative there. Gets tricky. There's going to be a lot of services that will be private relays too. I believe. Lightning Privacy Research. Oh, that's a cool website. It was Max from Wasabi who put that together, I think. There's a lot of good information about Lightning privacy there. The website link is on the notes, but it's lightningprivacy.com. Good domain.
You're like domain name maximalist, I noticed.
I like scarce things. And even though there's a lot of GTL, these are the domain shitcoins, I'm starting to have fun with those too now. It's like Bitcoin.sucks. How can you not want to own Bitcoin.sucks? This pod is Bitcoin.review. After Ver had the .com, I'm like, any Bitcoin domain I can buy and point to like decent stuff that is not like, a complete ripoff, I'm gonna get it.
Yeah.
It's like I'm taking a gun off the street.
I have bitcoin.kyoto, and you actually have to have like an address in Kyoto. So like I rented a mailbox in Kyoto just so I could register that domain.
Damn.
But like
Well
exactly
done.
like what you said, just to have it for an actual Bitcoin related use case.
Yeah.
What other cool domain names do you have? Show off.
No, I keep my lists private because it's more fun if people just like sort of like they see a tweet from me with a new domain. The latest one is stakeemoji.ws.
That's a URL?
Yes.
No.
Yes. You can type that in the
okay.
browser. I also have iheartbitcoin.ws, I think, or .fm, I can't remember.
Wow. Okay.
So if someone wants a Bitcoin domain, they should probably contact you in case you already own it, right? And then maybe there can be a negotiation.
That could be. We normally don't sell them. It's
Okay.
like just like a pit for like
stash them.
meme websites and
Dash or hodl them.
exactly. One of my favorites is it nftngmi.org. It has a beautiful technical explanation of why NFTs don't work and they're idiotic. Okay. At least 17% of Bitcoin Core version 24 listening nodes are running full-rbf, so battle's over. All you needed was really 10% and a couple miners. So good luck with ZeroConf. Breez raises 4.5 mil.
Nice.
Congrats, Roy. Great wallet. Doing very cool things. I love the product.
Yeah, I think Breez is awesome. Really like what they're doing. We did invest as part of Bitcoin Adventures, but yeah, love what Roy's doing.
How much do you invest?
Well, Bitcoin Adventures is like a syndicate, so each person is just putting in their own personal amounts. So yeah, we
want an address on the. We want a transaction hash.
Nah, only a very, very small amount from my side, but I think we got maybe a couple 100,000 as an allocation for all of these syndicate investors to go in with it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, now that Bitcoin is dead, you're going to need to find your investment returns from something else, like Bitcoin companies. Wait, but Bitcoin is dead. Cashew BTC Kali is now available via LNBits. That's a super cool little project. It's a Chaumian eCash. But what's cool about this one is that anyone can start a mint, and it uses Lightning as a way to buy the Chaumian eCash tokens. I find it like sort of like a perfect little layer for you to have a account of people's money in a system that you wouldn't have Lightning or Bitcoin. So like, say for example, I don't know, like some Miles program or like some stupid thing where like right now you have an IOU. Instead of like a pure IOU, you can just use this thing instead. And then people can at least trade it and use Lightning for you to get in and out. It's kind of like a palatable version of a shitcoin, in my view. I kind of got in an argument with Roy at the last episode about the validity of eCash. You guys have any opinions about eCash?
I wonder, is it like premature scaling, right? Like, are we, is it just better to just get everyone on Bitcoin or in Lightning now while we're, but at the same time, I could see a use for it. Like, maybe if you can onboard somebody who otherwise wouldn't be able to, I don't know. But yeah, my preference is, at least where we are today, I'd rather onboard someone just directly self-custodial. So that's kind of where it's at.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. But I don't think that's the target market. I think the people who are going to be using this are either sort of like websites who were using IOUs before, or so instead of a database, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Or and they need the capacity of issuing more, right? Like they have to be able to debase essentially, or like people who are economically too poor for Lightning and Bitcoin, right? So like, say for example, you have like you're going all the way to, it's like poor cell phone service, like little village. Like you can have somebody be the mint and offer credit to people who literally have no money. So it's not like they can't even buy Bitcoin, right? So they can use that as their own sort of like mint and sort of peg it back to Lightning and sort of do that kind of stuff. Another cool thing is like, like maybe, I don't know, like a school wants to have their own thing. It's better than shitcoins. Let's put it this way. That's how I like to frame it. It's a way better, more honest way of doing a shitcoin with actual purpose.
Yeah, it's just on Stephan's point, it's just a case of like whether we exhaust what can happen on Lightning first before we take some of these like less trust minimized solutions like more seriously. I don't know.
Well,
what
the cool thing
answer
is full privacy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So there is full privacy, right? Because it is a Chaumian eCash sort of solution. I think it's much better than Fedi. Sorry, Justin, because like, there is no federation. There is no like, it's just the issuer is the issuer. You don't need to use the Fedi federation.
So it's more trusted. You're putting all your faith in one party.
Yeah, but
versus...
I think that's the trust model for this kind of stuff anyways. Because otherwise just jump to Lightning, right? Like if you need last trust, then like just go straight to Lightning because you probably have like more money at stake. And if you're the village guy or the school guy that rug pulls everybody, you're going to probably get like murdered. So, like...
Well, maybe if they build up a big enough balance and, go to some tropical island. I don't know.
No, you go to India to do charity and then you have Crohn's disease death and then Quadriga money is gone, right?
It's going to be lots of little SBFs running around.
That's right.
Damn.
I don't think that kind of money is the target market for this one. Oh, another cool thing too is that it's less complex, right? Because you don't have all the Lightning sort of needs, right? There's no channel stuff. There's no just like, it just is. And they're using now in Nostr too. So you can use your Nostr keys to receive your cashew. Anyways, it's cool to see different stuff being worked on. eCash is a huge part of Bitcoin's history.
Yeah, fair point.
Paxful Delists ETH. Yeah, that's great. Portion of Bitcoin supply held by retail investors reaches all-time high. Glassnode, cool. Oh, yeah. So if you're looking for your NIP5 guide on how to have your own DNS-based ID on Nostr, go on my little website. There's a guide there, so you can have instead of using a pub key. André has set up a little nice guide on how to set up your own relay. Wiz, which relay software are you using for Nostr?
I started out running the TypeScript one because it uses Redis and PostgreSQL. But there was some issue with it, and then I tried the Rust implementation, and so I'm using the Rust implementation now. But now that I'm like one of the hard-coded relays in Damus, I'm
You're
like
screwed.
Yeah, I'm like, and the relay is like crushed. I'm like, oh fuck, now I got to switch back to the other one to be more performant. So yeah, I literally like right after this pod, I'm gonna work on that.
So the Rust one, is that SQLite or something like that?
Exactly, it's SQLite.
Yeah, I can't
so
do that.
well, if you have lots of RAM on the file
But
system,
then RAM is where they get you at the VPS. But you're running your own silicon there, right? Like your own metal.
well, it's not my own silicon ASIC chips, but yeah,
Sorry,
it's my
it's
own
just
bare metal
still
server.
metal.
Yeah, I don't run a virtual server for the relay. I figured it would need more beefy horsepower, and yeah.
It's just memory. Like I don't think you need a lot of CPU power on this, do you?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. I think it's doing something with the pub sub WebSockets stuff that's not, good time complexity. There's some n log n in there somewhere.
Right.
I don't know. But
well, this is the way you resolve server problems is more money. That's why the VPS is great. More RAM, more RAM, more RAM. Credit card, more RAM. Cool. I think they're reworking one of the relays to do better. I think to move to like a better setup with Postgres. I don't know.
Yeah.
I saw some noise around that.
yeah, it's going to be a challenge. Yeah.
Yeah. Wasabi cryptography API proposal. I don't know what this one is about. This document describes Wasabi Crypto set of APIs that runtime can expose a WebAssembly modules to perform cryptographic operations. Yeah. WebAssembly and stuff. Screw the browser. Just build clients. Like real man, build an actual executable.
Kids these days don't like to do that. They just like to ship the browser as like an Electron app.
I know that's what.
And then it works on every platform, but it uses 3 gigabytes of RAM just to.
No, I mean just a CSS on it. Like it's like there's like 10 megabytes of just JavaScript, and then there is another and he calls every possible dependency that exists to man into your computer in runtime. Now you stick your private keys on it.
NPM hell.
Yeah, it's but gotta give it to them. Like they are able to ship stuff. All right, MicroStrategy just bought some Bitcoin. More Bitcoin. There was some rumors that they were tax harvesting or selling some Bitcoin. Turns out that they just bought more. Those guys are going to turn into an ETF in the future. If your FUD model includes them selling, I don't think you understand these things. Nostr Corner. Johnny, that's a fun name for this. We've mixed it in, but that's a good one. So Jack gave 14 Bitcoin to them. Very cool. We've already talked about a bunch of this stuff, and Twitter announces the policy. Yeah, that was great. They deleted it. They deleted the tweet after that. Well, that's it, guys. We've reached peak boredom, peak least. We didn't even get into Bitcoin OpTech list, because that would be just another hour of Socratic hell in a good way. So audience questions. Is it possible or advisable to use the Lightning Network for coin mixing? Yeah, as a no. Complicated. Not quite there yet.
Yeah, not really.
I mean, it's great to spend with some privacy.
And maybe in the future, if splicing happens and there's some of those future privacy improvements, maybe then it kind of works, but it's not really private right now. In terms of as a mixer, I wouldn't treat it like that.
That's right.
No.
Lightning can actually dox your whole wallet if you aren't careful about it. Like if someone gets your node pub key and you just put that into an Explorer, and now you see all of their channels, and now you see all of their UTXOs, and Lightning can hurt your privacy.
Yeah, if you're not careful.
True. Right. Okay, so did we miss any software updates or anything on Core, Michael, that maybe piqued your interest that we might have not mentioned? Being honest, I have not been paying too much attention after the RBF stuff. I kind of made the mailing list muted, and I haven't unmuted it yet. So anything we should mention?
There's a lot of smaller items. I think the one that everyone was discussing was the mempool full-rbf thing. And Peter Todd released a client where you could peer with other nodes that also have that flag switched on, just so that as an added. I mean, what I expect will happen is the default will get changed at some point in the future in Core, and so the more people that have already changed the option, I suppose. Or appearing with other nodes that have that option turned on, I think there'd be a stronger case to turn that default on. But I could be totally wrong. Maybe the default will stay the same forever.
Yeah, I feel the cat is out of the bag already, right? I mean, there was a 10, 20% of the nodes having it on. It already looks from the outside not on node as if all the nodes are on, or enough. You can't, the visibility from the network, it looks like most of the network is now on. So as long as the miners, you have a couple miners in as well, you're done, right? I mean, because you can no longer rely because it looks like it's all on.
When that default is changed, do we have another 3 months of mailing list nonsense? Massive PRs?
It'd be kind of silly if they made a big deal, because we don't even need on anymore. It's just there is enough people running it on. The network will behave as if it was on.
That's what I think, but I don't know.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of noise.
Yes, that was something. Okay, so if that's all we have, why don't we do a round of like final thoughts and things you guys want people to know, Shill, where to find you guys, and projects you're working on. So Livera.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's cool to see all this development still happening right now. Arguably, we're in the depths of the bear market. So we're kind of end of the year. I'm expecting, next year to be a good one for stacking sats, and just keep it up on that. And yeah, anyone who wants to find me, if you're this far in, StephanLivera.com is where you can find me.
Cool, thank you, Livera. Thanks for coming, Wiz.
Yeah, it's I guess it's the middle of the bear market, so it's a very nice time to build things, and we've got the Nostr community popping up now, and it just feels like a lot of that crypto shitcoin noise is just gone now, and you can just focus on building, and it's great. But yeah, check out mempool.space, and wiz.biz is my personal website, and come find me on Nostr.
I like wiz.biz, it rhymes. So Wiz, how did you get the mempool SATSCARDs in hand? Did they get to you yet?
I'm at my country home
okay.
right now, and they're in Tokyo, so I'll get them in like a week when I go back into the office. But yeah,
I still haven't got mine in hand. Folks were too busy with Black Friday, so I was trying to be gentle. Please don't program these yet and ship everything out.
Yeah, I can't wait to start handing them out to friends. And
we got to do another design. They look too awesome. Michael, any final thoughts? And people find you and all that good stuff?
I'm in Israel currently. I'm discussing fundraising for a startup. I'll contact Stephan because I'm sure he'll have a big chunky offer waiting for me.
Nice. Yeah. He writes checks on air. I've seen it before.
What else? There's a couple of conferences I'm looking forward to early next year. So there's Advancing Bitcoin in London. That should be really good. It's always, every year it's really good and developer technical focused. And then there's Lightning Conference the month after. So we're talking, February, March next year. I think those two conferences will be really cool. Hopefully they'll be as good as previous years, if not better.
Cool. We do track Bitcoin conferences and events on bitcoinevents.org. Yeah, we have the domain.
You have all the domains.
Every domain is owned by MVK.
What a shock.
If there is one math I don't do is how much Bitcoin could have been bought through the years if domains were not bought. Yeah, just don't do that math. Everybody needs, it's a much better shitcoin to have a hobby with than actual shitcoins,
These days, I've just been collecting like typos like memepool.space or mempoo.space.
Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah, those are important to own. People will do evil things. Listen, guys, thank you so much. This was pretty awesome. I think we managed to provide people with a little bit of value and content with some meat. And we did probably manage to bore people to death, which is the true goal of this pod. So thank you so much. You guys have an awesome day.
Awesome. See you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Adios.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow @Bitcoin Review HQ or get in touch on Telegram, Bitcoin Review Pod, or Bitcoin Review at CoinKite.com. We don't have a crystal ball, so let us know about your projects. Leave your Boostagram on this episode and we'll try to read it on the next episode. If you don't know much about Value for Value or Bitcoin Podcast 2.0, go to bitcoin.review/V4V.